Yes, already there is a session in the morning.
Yeah, our Vice Chairman CA Raj Chawla ji has joined. So I now request the Vice Chairman CA Dr. Raj Chawla ji, Vice Chairman of Committee of Members in Industry and Business, to kindly welcome the participants. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I, CA Raj Chawla, Vice Chairman of Committee of Member in Industry and Business, welcome all the participants and companies here for this orientation program of our overseas campus program. I also welcome CA Dheeraj Khandelwal ji, Chairman, and also my Chairman in MSME Committee and other dignitaries in this program. So friends, today we are here to discuss this orientation program of this our overseas campus. So in this program, after a gap of 4 years, our committee is organizing this overseas campus, and I am very lucky that Institute deputed me in the month of October for HR meet in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and now again they have deputed me and other colleagues of mine in the Central Council for the physical interview to be held in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So I welcome all the participants in this program and now request Dheeraj Bhai, because he is the senior member of our committee and also he has already organized this overseas program, to please speak on this topic. Thank you.
Before that, I'll request Rohit, because he has to leave. So say some few words.
Thank you, Dheeraj Bhai, my chairman on International Trade and WTO Committee. Raj Chawla ji, Vice Chairman of CMIB Committee. I can see Piyush Chhajar ji, Nanda ji, and all the staff present over here, all the officers of the institute, and all the members who have filled their request in the overseas campus placement. A very good afternoon to one and all. And all, of course, all the speakers who are there today, who will be orienting all the members who are going for the overseas campus placement. Of course, it is a very wonderful step and initiative taken by the Committee for Members in Industry and International Trade and WTO. And we could manage 4 years before one overseas campus in which the members from the country were placed outside India. So this time we went outside India, UAE, to understand the need of various corporates, how more and more Indian chartered accountant can be placed in these countries. So we get certain inputs from the HR agencies. And on the same theme, we have organized this orientation program, because we need to understand what are the expectations of the HR who are recruiting you or taking the interview. And if we are aware that what is the requirement, then it is very good opportunity to crack the interview. Because at many times we are not able to understand what is the requirement of the HR, because the country we are doing the interview, we should know the basic laws of that country. We should know what are the livelihood in the country and what are the taxation, what are the policies in the country, because these things are very important. And also some basic knowledge about the language which is followed in the country will also help you a lot. So on the same lines, we have tried to organize the orientation program to make you aware. So those who get shortlisting and those who give the consent to the concerned company will be getting a lot of help by this orientation program. And we are confident that we will do a good number in the job placement. And of course, one more thing that yes, there are approximately more than 2,000 participants who have requested, who have filled this overseas campus. But the number of jobs are not that, so that we must be confident and we should focus and we should once again, congratulations to all the committees of the institute who have taken this initiative. Of course, efforts from Rangnathan ji and Shalini ji and Prabdeep ji, who is taking care all the day and night of all the members for this support. So we are there till this thing is concluded. With this, I just mark my words. Thank you very much. Over to Dheeraj ji, sir.
Thank you, Rohit bhai. Can you hear me? Hello. Okay. So fine.
Very much, Dheeraj bhai. Go ahead. Very much.
Okay. So the Vice Chairman of the Committee for CMIB, Raj Chawla ji, my Vice Chairman of the Committee for Development of International Trade Services and WTO, Rohit bhai, my big brother, elder brother, Sonjit Singh Nanda ji, and of course my younger brother, Piyush Chhajar ji. And I could say that this is a great beginning. I am very happiest person over here. When I was the chairman of the CMIB, when I started this, we started overseas placement, and we could able to do it. 90 people recruitment that time, and I also this time I'm chairman of the Committee for Development, Trade and Services in WTO. This is the fourth year, and we are doing another new things, a physical placement into the Abu Dhabi and Dubai. We started before that virtual placement. We got a good response. We could able to place in the both the time near about 100 people, and a vacancy was near 200. Now we could see that in last couple of last after the COVID pandemic, there's a lot of requirements of the Indian skills across the globe, not only in the UAE, UK and UAE, and across the globe. And recently I visited the United Kingdom, UK, and I've seen that 1,500 people, newly chartered accountant across the Mumbai and India, being placed there in the different capacity, whether it's new or whether old. And I could see that in my LinkedIn profile around they were previously used to be 30 people, and now around 300 odd people are connected in my profile. Those are residing in the UK and this area. So I can say it's a lot of Indian requirements being there in the entire UK and Europe country, as well as the US, Canada, Australia, other side. So continuous demand is getting increase, and that's why our committee we started the various different language course in the Spanish, Latin, all 7 Japanese, all German, all French. We started the various language course, and more than 7,000 new expression of interest we got it, and people are seeking for the job there in that EU country. People are seeking job from the remote side also, from sitting in India and serving to that country, and a lot of people wanted to join the organization of that country, which are establishing their shops or offices in India. So there's a huge demand. Demands are coming, and this committee, along with the CMIB committee, will do lots of work in terms of the placement. Right now, we are doing the physical placement in the UAE country, but in the times to come, we have to have more such kind of placement across the world, not only in the UK and UAE. We have to do a lot of work, and I could say that more than 36 organizations been participating in this particular placement, and we gather 150 vacancies, and I could say that more than 450 people being shortlisted. And I can show that, out of 450, 150 people definitely will get the right job for the right placement. And I can say that for them, those are looking, still the consent is being pending. 21st to 23rd is a window is there. Please give your consent to this particular portal. You can choose that company and give their schedule your interview. And with this, I can say committee with the including with, and we are looking forward more such kind of placement opportunities for all our newly chartered accountant. And this CMIB is organizing the orientation program, which is a unique way, which wanted to describe about the various laws, pertaining to the Dubai, what the IFRS are there, what the Indias are there, what are the audit controls are there, what are the new Dubai taxes and laws going to be there, how the things can be prepared for the interview, mock drills also going to be there. So things are being designed by that way so that it will refresh your memory and you can be prepared for the interview. So with this, best of luck for all the participants. I hope that all the people going to select it, whether at 150 maybe from this particular placement, but that data which we got it selected may be placed within next 3 to 4 months. We'll ensure that off campus going to be there. The data can be placed to the all people so that whomever wanted to recruit the people can recruit it. We'll see more service to our professor. With this, thank you very much for joining this particular orientation program. Thank you. Now I request Piyush Hajardi, who is also a new dynamic young leader for the profession, request him for their address.
Thank you very much, Dheeraj Khandelwal, sir, Chairman for the WTO Committee, Vice Chairman, Dr. Raj Chawla for Committee for Members in Industry, Senior Central Council members, Charanjit Singh Nanda, other office bearers, representatives of the Dubai and Abu Dhabi chapter, the members who have joined it for the placement program. Good afternoon, everyone, one and all, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be part of this. In fact, I have an opportunity to attend this event also. Along with Raj Chawla and Nanda sir, I would be in Abu Dhabi for 2 days and Dubai to ensure that the maximum objective is achieved. We all know that the chartered accountants who are trained or who are qualified in examination of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India are basically a global chartered accountants. The syllabus in which they have done, the presentation skills that they have done, I'm sure the results, the companies will be benefited by it. And as mentioned by Dheeraj, there are 150 vacancies. I'm sure all the places will suit the candidates will suit that requirement, and we will get a 100% strike rate of it. Definitely. I also congratulate the team for organizing this overseas placement program, which is a wonderful exercise. It's a wonderful opportunity for the chartered accountants, and especially UAE, wherein the laws, accounting laws, which are IFRS based, or the taxation laws, which is going to come of VAT, which generally follow an English law, which also an Indian law is following. So the person who has actually been qualified under an examination of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, I'm sure they would be the most suitable candidates for any UAE corporates or any corporates in the Middle East for that way. And therefore, I wish all the best to all the candidates for it. That please do your best. I'm sure you are already technically very well qualified, and the discussions and interviews and mock drills would only help you to take it to another. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to all the members of this committee and the Central Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, sir. I would now request our senior most member in the council, CA Charanjit Singh Nanda ji, to kindly address the participants. Over to you, Nanda sir.
Gentlemen, the chairman WTO, my younger brother Dheeraj Khandelwal, the vice chairman of CMIP, CA Dr. Raj Chawla, my younger brother CA Piyush Hajardi from Mumbai, office bearers Mr. G. Ranganathan, CA Pradeep Singh Baveja, Madam Shalini Narang, the revered speakers of the day, Mr. Ranjit Pillai, CA Tushar Jesrani, and all who have come here to go home more enlightened. Ladies and gentlemen, you are well aware that our institute, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, was set up an Act of Parliament way back on 1st July 1949, when the most important document to the democracy, the Constitution, was not adopted. The Constitution to this great country was promulgated on 26 January 1950. The pertinent question that arises is, what prompted the Constituent Assembly to set up an Institute of Chartered Accountants of India when its own democratic setup was not in place? The answer is very candid, very simple, very forthcoming. They were looking for a disciplined band of soldiers to steer this country out of confusion. And there we are. Indian chartered accountants have always created history. We work in tandem with the international best practices. I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that your institute, I am the chairman of Digital Accounting and Assurance Board, is the first in the world to come out with 23 forensic investigative accounting standards. First in the world. Your institute, way back on 30th March 2020, gave a dictate, gave a guidance on remote audit. This committee, CMIB and WTO committee, both of them are doing a yeoman's job by providing employment opportunity to us. I was the chairman of CMIP way back in 2016, and I can see the vibrance and robustness in which this committee is working. We need to understand one thing very clearly. If we are at rightest position, the institute will always move up to the ladder of the pinnacle of success. Ladies and gentlemen, our technical impetus has to be very imperatively outcast to the world at large. You take care of Indias, you take care of IFRS, you take care of iBanking, you take care of merger acquisitions, you take care of distribution, derivatives, swaps, strategies, everything we chartered accountants are masters. And therefore, this CUM, where so many chartered accountants will be placed, will not only be beneficial for them, but it will bring great laurels to this great profession of ours. I am very keenly happy to announce you that I'll be in Dubai from 1st to 4th to ensure the smooth conduct of this employment arena. I want to tell you that if all of us join together, hone our technical skills, we will never be the second in this world. I want to just remind you that World Congress with over 11,000 participants was a great brand building exercise for the institute. Gone are the days when people used to take us on their terms. I'm reminded of a couplet which says, "Dete na the jo jawab unke salam aane lage. Dete na the jo jawab unke salam aane lage. Waqt badla to mere neem ke ped par aam aane lage." It is time to reap the benefits of our hard work. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be there for the long period. 3 things before I say goodbye to you. Number 1, hone your technical skills. Go through the journals, because 3 years journal you'll find on our institute website that will change your entire perspective of interviews made by international or Indian. Second very important thing, please focus on your core subject before you appear for an interview, because any contemporary change will entail a lot of discussion. And final thing which I want to tell you, please understand and try to use technology in all your initiatives. Technology has changed the face of the profession. It will change the face of the profession in times to come. And therefore, when you appear in an interview, the focus will be on technology. So you should be ready to answer those. We'll have a longer session when we are in Dubai. I want to thank both the committees, WTO committee under the chairmanship of Mr. Dheeraj Khandelwal, CMIP under the vice chairmanship of Mr. Raj Chawla, the office, Mr. Ranganathan, Pradeep ji, Madam Narang, and all the speakers who would make the participant enlightened and ensure that they put at rest all the doubts that may have arisen during the course of the discussions. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir. May I request our Vice Chairman, Dr. Hanji?
I want to share one information with the members.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was handing over the dice to you only, sir. Thank you, sir.
So, thank you, Rangaji. I want to inform the members who have applied for the job that companies has shortlisted our members, and they have sent the link on their this login credential. So I request all the members to please check your login and check whether they have received any invitation from the companies, and please your consent because that is open from 21st to 23rd only. So today is last day to join that. So I request all the participants. Sorry, today is today is 22nd. So tomorrow is last date. So up to tomorrow, you have to give your consent whether you are accepting that offer from the companies they have listed you. So please, this is my request. Thank you, Rangaji.
Thank you. Now over to CA Prabdeep Singh ji. You may kindly now conduct the sessions.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir. Thank you all the council members for your time and for your guidance. Grateful to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Big gratitude to all Central Council members, Honorable Central Council members, for their inspiring words to our members who have joined. We have been detailed about what is expected from this session, and this session of 2 hours and few minutes is divided into 4 sections, where we will start with the technical aspects, starting from financial reporting, IFRS, moving on to auditing standards and what is new there, how the audit is done. Then specifically, as most of the opportunities which are there in overseas campus is from UAE, then the second session is focused on the laws and the business environment, more focused on UAE, and the Middle East economy and Africa also moves around it, where we have some opportunities, and that will also be dealt upon briefly. The third session is on interview skills, where our esteemed speaker will focus on what are do's, don'ts, the importance of presentation communication, and the last session, mock interviews, where we have 2 or 3 members who have volunteered to give an interview in the panel of 3 speakers who will be taking the interview. So we are slightly a bit behind time, 6 minutes, but we'll have a 20-minute session of CA Ranjit Pillai. And before he comes on the stage, I will briefly introduce. Ranjit is a chartered accountant from our institute. He's a rank holder with 20 years of professional experience in accounting, auditing, and finance across various industries globally. He has excellent experience in conducting the classes for the professional finance courses for various professional accounting professional courses and certification courses like IFRS. Currently, he's leading the Middle East finance function of a reputed US company, and he's based at Dubai. He's also faculty with our overseas office in Dubai for the classes at different levels since August 2013. His area of professional expertise includes financial reporting, statutory and internal audit, project management and outsourcing, taxation and company law, due diligence, US GAAP, IFRS, Indian GAAP, etc. So with these words, I request all our members present here to please give a big virtual round of applause for our first speaker, CA Ranjit. And Ranjit, the screen is yours. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabdeep, and thank you for all the committee members and for giving me an opportunity to speak on this orientation for the overseas campus placement. And good afternoon to all, and I welcome all the new members to the profession or the members of the profession who are waiting for the interviews to come. And first of all, I wish them all the success in their interviews and their future career. Okay. So the topic for today is regarding the international financial reporting standard and what we have to focus on the interviews or that we are supposed to attend. So basically, as we know, accounting is our profession, and accounting standards are the backbone of our profession. And throughout whichever field or whichever industry you have to work through, whether it is in the audit field or whether it is in any industry or whether it is in India or whether it is outside India, we have to know the international financial reporting standard, or which is normally known as the generally accepted accounting practices. And the worldwide adopted generally accounting practices is the international financial reporting standard, which are normally known as the IFRS. As you are basically focusing on the interviews in UAE and this part of the world, so here what is adopted is the IFRS and the international financial reporting standard. So here we will just give an overview, because we know that this much time is not enough even to reiterate the number of standards that we have. So here we will use our time to focus on what all things we have to focus, or what all areas that we have to see or refer before you want to appear for an interview. And as I know, all are qualified members, and especially those who are qualified recently has entirely studied the Indian accounting standard, which are the INT-AS, which is widely covered in our syllabus in the form of the paper 1 financial reporting. And if those who have elected the global financial reporting standard, they should also have a good idea on the international financial reporting standard. But as we know, the INT-AS or Indian accounting standards are used only in India, and in all other parts of the world the IFRS is mostly used. So first of all, what we need to know is that since you have recently qualified, or as I assume that you have gone through the new syllabus, so you should have a good knowledge or an extensive knowledge on the Indian accounting standard. But as we come here, we don't use the Indian accounting standard, or even we cannot use the Ind AS outside India, or so we have to use IFRS. So basically, to add to your knowledge, what you have to do is that whatever knowledge that you have done on the Ind AS, you have to see what is the basic difference between the Ind AS and the IFRS. And once you know the differences, you can easily say what are the IFRS. Basically, there are not much differences. There are some major differences which is in the form of the carve-outs and carve-in, and over a period of time, as you are aware, the carve-in and carve-out has been reduced a lot, and we have only a few carve-outs or carve-ins as compared to the Ind AS and the IFRS. These are the major differences. So the first thing is that we need to, since we know the Ind AS, so the easiest way to move into the IFRS is to get used to this carve-outs and carve-ins so that we can see what is the difference. And apart from this carve-ins and carve-outs, which are a few, there are also a small differences between the Ind AS and IFRS. The first thing itself is regarding the financial statement, that the nomenclature that we use for the financial statement, usually in India or Ind AS, we will use the concept of balance sheet and the profit and loss statement. But the thing is that, as we know, under the IFRS, even though the statements are the same, we will have the nomenclature of the statement of financial position as well as the statement of comprehensive income. That is one of the differences that we have to understand between the two. Like that, each standard have few differences, and so we have to go through those differences to see that how the Ind AS differs from the IFRS. Why I'm talking that? Because you have studied the Ind AS as part of your curriculum. So if we need to answer the IFRS question, we need to understand these small differences. And yet to give another example where there is a difference between Ind AS and IFRS is on the IAS 40 or the corresponding Ind AS 40, wherein the investment property, wherein as per the IFRS, we can have two models of accounting. We can either use cost model or there can be a fair value model, but under the Indian GAAP or under the Ind AS, the only one permitted model is the cost model. So that is one of the difference. So if we have to ask a question relating to that particular standard, the IFRS adopts two models, and in India, due to economic conditions in India, we have only one model. So that type of small differences between the Ind AS and the IFRS, you have to understand so that you can mainly focus on answering the question relating to the IFRS. And most of you are freshers and are different background. We can expect different varieties of questions there. Some questions may be too technical, and some may be the basic questions as well, covering the international reporting standard. So basically, we need to have an idea regarding the structure of IASB, how the IASB functions, how the standards are being issued, what are the functions of the IASB, and what are the purpose of the IFRS standard, as well as we also need to know the list of the standard, what is what, and how the applicability of the standards are being there. So as we know about it. So we have the Ind AS 1 to 41, and again Ind AS 101 to 116 is there. So correspondingly, we have IAS 1 to IAS 41, and again IFRS 1 till IFRS 16, and IFRS 17 is also there. So at least we need to be aware of the basic thing, because the question can come like, what are the countries that has adopted IFRS? What are the purpose of adopting IFRS? What are the advantage by which the IFRS have to be adopted? And what are the IFRS which is applicable? And recently, as we know, we call it as a new generation standard, which was started applicable recently, which is IFRS 15, which is based on the revenue recognition. Even we know that IFRS 16, which is on the leases, and again IFRS 9, which is basically on the financial instrument. So these are the recent standard or the standard which come recently, which we normally call as new generation standard because of their volume and the applicability. So those type of standard also you need to know and when it has started applicable, including there is a new standard which have just started from the beginning of the month, which is on 1st January 2023, which is IFRS 17, which is basically on the insurance contracts. And basically it is a industry specific standard. So we cannot expect much of the questions on that standard, even though it is new, only except for those industries which are insurance based or those who are issuing the insurance contract. But as a point of interest, you can even go through the basics of that standard as well, because it is a recently added standard. And coming back, so another thing, or if we know there is a recent change to the conceptual framework, that is also, even though it is not part of a standard, there was a lot of amendments or recent changes to the conceptual framework of standards. And that changes have to be known, because we know that there was a change in the definition of the assets and liabilities from the age-old definition, and that definition also have impacted the other standard. And even there are some other changes, what is a reporting entity, all those changes have come to the conceptual framework. So that information, or at least we need not have to have the entire knowledge, but we need to know what are the changes, at least what are the new definition, how an asset is defined, or how a liability is defined as per the new definition, that at least we need to know. And also, the another important thing is a basic accounting concept that is dealt with in the conceptual framework, or as well as the IAS 1, which is regarding materiality, going concern, etc. That is not only relevant for an accounting related question, but that also are equally important from an auditing point of view, because these are the concepts which underlie the preparation and presentation of the financial statement. So it will affect both the accounting part as well. Also, it will affect the audit, because you know that we know all the major things, or we may know the big adjustment, how we recognize an asset, or how we recognize the ROU. But there may be the basic things are more tested, because unless we know the basics, we cannot go to the higher thing. So like the question may come regarding how we will ascertain the going concern aspect of an entity, like that. So that type of basic things, including the what are the qualitative characteristics of the financial statement, what are relevant, those things from the basic points that we need to refer. So these are just the basic things that we need to cover to complete the basic question regarding what is an asset, what is a liability, the basic things regarding the accounting principle. Then again, if we go, as I say, we can have an overview of what we can cover here. So if we cover in a summary, we can just break out the standard into different category. And the first time, the important thing is regarding the financial statement related standard, which are basically the IAS 1, which is presentation of financial statement, accounting policy, and the changes in accounting policy and those standards. These are the standards which are applicable to any organization, because basic preparation of the financial statement, there is no industry, whatever is a type of industry. And even whenever we are going for an audit firm also, we need to understand whether the client has used the correct accounting policies and principle to prepare the financial statement. So these standards are very, very important, and we have to understand how the financial statements are being presented, including the relevance of the other comprehensive income. What are the items that, or what is another comprehensive income, or that is one of the question that usually comes, what are the items that is presented in the other comprehensive income, what can be reclassified or what cannot be reclassified. Another thing is regarding the classification and presentation of the asset, which is basically how we can classify an asset into current asset, non-current asset, or if any changes in the asset, how the classification has come, what is a current asset, non-current, or a current liability. That is also an important aspect, though it is very simple. So the interviewer can have question regarding where a particular asset has to be presented in the balance sheet, or which financial statements a particular asset or liability or a particular item have to be presented. And that will again go to the auditing part also, because we have to deal with the assertion regarding the items in the financial statement whenever we are doing the audit. Similarly, we also have to see how to adopt an accounting policy which is detailed in IAS 8, and also what all the things that we have to do, what is a change in accounting policy, and what is how we have to account for the change in accounting policy, what all things which are not considered as a change in the accounting policy, that all things we also need to understand. That is what I'm saying. These are the basic things, but we just need to. Another important thing which affects the balance sheet and the income statement is regarding the provision. So we also have to have a good understanding of what is a provision, what is a contingent liability, and what is a case where a contingent asset can be recognized. These are all the things that we need to understand. In what circumstances we can create a provision, or what all circumstances we cannot create a provision in the financial statement. So that is also another important thing. And especially when it comes to the outside the country, the foreign exchange transaction should be there. So we also have to have an idea regarding the standard on the foreign exchange transaction, how the transactions are being converted, what are the accounting treatment for the same, because especially if you're working in a multinational company, the financial statements are prepared in the different currency. So if we are appearing for an interview for that particular entity, we may have to have a question regarding how we adjust the foreign exchange transaction. Another one is a deferred tax. And especially in this part of the world, or in UAE, that was not a concern until now, because there was no taxation. But as you are aware, from June 2023 onwards, we are also moving into the corporate tax. So that standard should have very much relevance here in this part of the world. So you should also can expect some of the question, how a deferred tax liability is recognized, how an asset, or what is the difference, all those things we have to. Another thing in the presentation is regarding the earnings per share. What are the type of the earnings per share, how the earnings per share should be disclosed and all. So these are the basic thing which covers the entire financial statement, and these points that we have to keep in mind with respect to the state. Another thing, which is the detailed one, which regarding the thing is regarding the assets. Usually the asset-based standard are also very, very relevant, and we should have the knowledge regarding what are the tangible asset, intangible asset, and especially with respect to those organizations which have the intangible asset, we should know what are the criteria of classifying or recognizing an intangible asset, which is invariably different from the recognition principle of the tangible asset. And especially what all items have to be included in the cost, what all costs can be capitalized, what all costs cannot be capitalized. That another thing is regarding the asset is regarding the valuation of the asset, as well as the impairment that is relating to the asset. Like what are the circumstances when the asset can be impaired, and what are the accounting treatment for the impairment. And including there is the leases, which is also a new standard, which is IFRS 16. So that is also a new standard. So we also should know how to account for the lease, what are the cases where, or how to account for the right of use in respect to a lease, and how the liability should be accounted. And basically, even though it is small, we should also need to know what are the circumstances in which the exemption relating to the leases can be applied. So even though that is a small thing in the standard, that is one thing which then interviewer can ask. So these are the asset, whether we have to apply the lease standard or. Another important standard is revenue, and that is the main thing which affect the financial statement, and wherein that also is part of the new standard, which is IFRS 15. So there we need to understand what is the recognition model. So we know that most popular 5-step model with respect to the recognition of the revenue, how we have to identify the contract, how we have to identify the transaction price, how it have to be allocated, and how the revenue is to be recognized. So that is one of the important things that we need to understand. And again, it differs from industry to industry. There are certain industries where there are a lot of performance obligation or there are a lot of items. So we should exactly know when a performance obligation is completed so that we can go and recognize the revenue and accordingly the transaction allocation. And it again, the industry, it differs because if it's a retail industry, there are so many things with respect to the discount, coupon, discount vouchers and all that. So that also we need to know whenever we issue a discount coupon, how we have to account for the revenue. If it is a construction contract or if we have to do the performance, how we have to recognize the revenue. So these are the, so though it is a big standard, but at least we need to know the basic things with respect to the recognition of revenue. And if you know that, which is the industry that you are going to get interviewed, you also have to go and see what are the specific industrial norms with respect to the recognition of the revenue that will help in answering the specific question that may ask with respect to that particular type of industry. Then another hot topic is the financial instruments. So here also we may not get a detailed question, but the basic question which usually comes is regarding the classification of the financial assets and liabilities and how a financial asset and financial liability is different from a normal asset and liability. So they may ask an item of asset, whether it is a financial asset or financial liability. So that basic things we need to understand, including the measurement and recognition, how we have to classify the financial assets and liabilities and how the measurement have to be done. And among them, the important one is regarding the provision for bad debts, as we call earlier, which is come as an expected credit loss. That also is the one which is applicable for all the places where we have receivables. So we should also need to know how to account for the expected credit loss, and that should also be a part under the simple. And one more thing with respect to revenue, usually the people or the members will get confused, or when it goes to the revenue, we should also understand what is a contract asset and liability and how it differs from the accounts receivable. So that is also another question which is being asked. What is a contract asset and how it differs from accounts receivable? That portion also we need to clear. And the last one among all these things is the consolidation related standard. So these are normally applicable if you are going to work for a group, or especially definitely it is applicable when you are going to be in an audit firm. So you should have to see the entities where the consolidation have to be done. From an interview point of view, we should know what are the basic principle of consolidation, including how we have to calculate the goodwill, how to calculate the consideration, including how we have to prepare the consolidated financial statement. And above all, the IFRS 10 basically focus on the control model. So that also we have to understand very well to go through the particular standard. So this is just an overview of all these things, but these are some of the areas that we can particularly focus with respect to the standard. And above all, we also have to take care of some recent amendment that has gone to IFRS, which is including the asset standard IAS 16, property, plant and equipment. That again, in the asset, we have given an items included in the cost. There is a recent amendment which says that if we have to sell some samples with respect to the construction of an asset or testing of an asset, earlier we can deduct it from the cost of the asset, but now there is a recent amendment which says that it have to be taken to other income. But the Indian students have to be careful here. In Ind AS, that has still to be treated as a deduction from the cost of the asset, and still it is a carve out between the Ind AS and the IFRS. So if anyone knows that, that is one of the important amendments that we have to see. And there is a small amendment to IFRS 3, which is in line with the change in the conceptual framework. Also, there are some amendments to IAS 37, which is the provision that all things we need to take. So this is all in a summary that we need to see with respect to the IFRS whenever we are going to appear for an interview. And that's all we have to discuss for today in this short span of time. I thank you all and wishing you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ranjit, for your time. our members through this detailed discussion. In a very short time, you have given a very crisp idea of what our members should know with regard to IFRS and differences between Ind AS and IFRS, and also the presentation, which has been going through a significant change, which will go through a significant change where the comparison of the financial statements becomes easier. And the other thing, the issue of the life of the organizations also gets covered when the new things will come related to the management commentary, wherein the reporting will have to be more detailed, the business model will have to be shared. I'm not sure when it is expected, but if I'm not wrong, Ranjit, management commentary, 3-4 years it would come through.
Yeah, it should come through. Yeah, it's not, the date is not at decided. I didn't touch upon those things. Yeah.
Normally, any project of IESB takes 10 years time.
Yeah.
Right. So so these are the basic things. If the members goes through the normal updates of IFRS website, ISB, the things coming, they will know that what's happening. And if we are able to demonstrate what's happening right now, then I believe that there's something which will come through from the interviewer's point of view, that this is a person who knows things, who is ready to know the things, who knows what's happening and who knows what may happen in the future. We will this is the first session only where when Rajit has covered the IFRS, we will now move more specifics on the audit side, because there are a large number of opportunities which are there for our members from the audit firms, and this will be more specific on those, where we have a esteemed speaker, Tushar. I will introduce him briefly. Tushar is a fellow member of our institute and has over 17 years of post-qualification experience. He is a seasoned audit professional and an audit and assurance partner with UHY James Chartered Accountants in UAE. Tushar has a profound insight into the audit and assurance side of business. He has been recognized as an accredited audit and IFRS trainer while working with BDO and KPMG. He also has experience of working on various robotic tools for audit-related purposes. His exposure in handling audits of publicly listed companies throughout his career has played a pivotal part in shaping his understanding of audit quality requirements. Tushar's expertise also include effectively complying with stock exchange requirements, overseeing controls, policies, just to facilitate stronger financial governance and compliance. Tushar is a board member of the UHY International Quality Group, which has the responsibility of maintaining high quality standards across the network globally. Thank you so much, Tushar, for being here. And in your allotted time is 20 minutes. So within 17 or 20 minutes, I will request you to briefly brief on what our members should know. And I request all to please give a big virtual round of applause for Tushar. And Tushar, your presentation is up and your screen is here. The screen is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabdeep. And I would first like to thank everyone to give me this opportunity to speak on the auditing and help the new passed out members, to basically they can understand what, and from an interviewer's perspective, what they should be prepared with and what kind of questions they should be prepared with. This is a great initiative that has been taken, and I am really happy to be part of this to help our new members when they are actually applying for jobs in the overseas. So just quickly, I will go through what I'm going to cover today. So basically, we'll be covering what audit method. This is purely from a perspective of when you are giving an interview in an audit firm, what an interviewer would expect from you. So basically, I'll cover only the auditing sides of it, as Mr. Ranjit has already covered on the IFRS side. So audit methodology understanding is something you should demonstrate. There are new standards, new auditing standards, and their impact on how the auditing approach or audit process would change. And third is experience in handling audit issues and impact on the audit opinion, if you have that. So I'll, as I have very short span, I'll quickly go through all these. So on audit methodology, firstly, I think we are talking about basically the Middle East, UAE, and the Middle East region. Usually, the audit firms here would expect you to have an understanding of the risk-based audit approach. All of you who would have worked in India must have followed certain audit approach. If you even if you've not worked on auditing tools, it is still okay to showcase that what kind of experience you have in handling the risk-based audit approach. Even if you go through the standards, you can easily come to know what the standards are saying in terms of how you manage your risk while you are planning for your audit. So the understanding of the risk-based audit approach is very important. Second thing is, how would you assess risk categories? So once you demonstrate that you have understanding of the risk based audit approach, it is very important to also demonstrate to the interviewer that how you are going to categorize your audit risks when you're planning for your audit. There would be high risk, medium risk, low risk. How are you planning for your materiality? And what, based on all these factors, how are you going to plan your audit work? So this is the demonstrating that understanding is very key when you are giving an interview from in an audit firm for any audit senior or auditor position. Secondly, it is very important when you are discussing that while you are planning for an audit, what is how do you get understanding of client's business and its control environment, specifically what process you go through when you are actually planning for the audit. You go through the controls, the processes in place, you understand their business, what are their key, who are their key suppliers, who are their key customers, what are their dependencies in terms of clients that they have, technological dependencies, and also what kind of geographical area they work in, and any jurisdictional restrictions or any jurisdictional specific statutory requirements that they have. So all this understanding, how do you get when you're starting an audit, is something you should demonstrate to the interviewer. This again, if you go through the standards, even if sometimes you might have not got a chance to go through in detail the planning, or even if you go through the standards very clearly put down what all work needs to be done. So if you, even if you in there are few areas where you don't have the real practical hands-on experience, it is okay to tell the interviewer that I have, while I did not have, but I know that the standard says this. This actually impresses the interviewer that although you do not have practical experience, but you still gone through the standards and you know what is to be done. Next thing is, as I mentioned, once you've done the planning, you have to take the interviewer through. When you're asked that what is your experience on audit, the best way to impress any interviewer is to take them through a live example of how any one particular client, on how you conducted the audit from planning stage. How did you plan the audit? When you entered the execution stage, what all you did, how did you cover the risks, what are the major high risks that you identified, what were the areas which were low risk and therefore you did less work. And all these things you should take the interview through any one particular client. It actually shows that gives the interviewer the impression that you are able to manage the client from start to end. These days completion has been also getting very important, because if any outside reviewer comes to review the file, the file has to be properly completed, archived, concluded, and all documentation has to be properly put into the file. While you are discussing with the interviewer on how you would have conducted the audit for any particular client that you had handled, you should also mention specific ISAs that you had applied. So it is very good to memorize the main ISAs and their applicability, and how did you practically apply them. It is audit evidence. What are the kind of audit evidence you were looking at, what are the external evidences based on which you concluded any particular issue, what kind of documentation you had to do when you were actually working on certain audit matters which were an issue initially, and how did you resolve them. So it is very good to actually put up that understanding of each ISA when you are discussing with the interviewer. It is okay to have only theoretical knowledge. I keep on saying this because a lot of interviewees who think that if I've not dealt with it, how would I know? But it is okay. You can always mention to the interviewer that although I've not dealt with it, I know what the standards say. Second part is on auditing standards and what are their impacts. So you should be discussing which are the new standards that have come in, and what will be their impact on the audit process. There are a lot of new standards that have come. There is ISA 315, which is totally updated. It's revised. Even ISA 570, which is ongoing concern, it is revised. In the last 2 years, these standards have been revised. You should be discussing that how what are the changes that have come and how this is going to impact the audit process that is being followed. There's a huge change that has happened in the last month, which is ISQM1. This is like a total revamp of the quality standards. If you are giving an interview in an audit firm for at least an audit senior or above, this is something you should know. ISQM1 and ISQM2, which was mandatory for all firms, audit firms, to apply from 15th of December 2022. This requires a total revamp of the quality manuals and the quality standards that an audit firm follows. So earlier it was ISQC, which is replaced by ISQM 1 and 2, where there are in total 6 plus 2 pillars, which based on which the auditing firm has to put down all its quality standards, and how they are going to manage their clients, how they're going to manage their quality, how they're going to manage their team, and how they're going to ensure that high quality standards are maintained across. So this is something very important which any auditing firm would be looking at, that what understanding do you have. Yes, you need not be an expert in ISQM, and you need not know each and every aspect about it, but you should be aware of broadly what ISQM 1 says and what ISQM 1 requires. Specifically, it requires the management of the audit firm to assess its own risks and identify how they are going to mitigate those risks and what are the quality standards they've kept. At least, like in our previous presenter, Mr. Ranjit mentioned that even if you're coming from India, there is Ind AS. However, if you demonstrate to the interviewer that yes, you have the understanding of how Ind AS and IFRS, what are the gaps, and you have that understanding, you can easily deal with IFRS. Similarly, in auditing standards, you should be aware of what are the new standards that have come in and the gaps which are there. So if you are aware of that, then tomorrow if you have to work on these things, you should be able to easily work over there. uh, Next thing is, you should discuss how you've applied various auditing standards at the time of audit. Next is, if you have experience on training team members. This is very important for any interviewer in an audit firm, because in UAE and the GCC region, within the Gulf region, if you are practically you are being given audit clients where you actually go out with 1 or 2 junior members, and you are responsible for conducting the whole audit. So you should be giving that confidence to the interviewer, that how are you going to manage the team and how are you going to manage the client. It is very important to demonstrate that skill. If you definitely, all of you who have passed out and have more than 3 to 4 years of experience, would have worked in teams, would have handled team members below you. So it is very important that you make this point and you show with example to the interviewer that how you were able to manage teams, how you allocated the audit areas to the each team member, because managing an audit and completing it within the time frame is something that is also a skill that is required for any auditor, because you have a very limited time to complete an audit. And because in a consulting field, everything works on how much time you're spending on your client. So within that time frame, how are you going to complete all the procedures that you planned, and ensure that the risk from a firm's audit firm points of view is also taken care of. So all these aspects put together, you will have to demonstrate that I can use the team member that will be allocated to me. And with the skill set of that team member and with my experience, I'll be able to ensure that I'll complete the audit in the time within the timelines, and ensuring that the quality standards will also be maintained and the audit firm's risk will also be covered through the procedures that will be performed. Next thing is what experience you have in handling audit issues and impact on the audit opinion. This is very important, because as an auditor, you would be on the field. The manager and the partner would not be coming on the field that often. So that confidence should be there, that if any kind of audit issues are there, you will be able to identify those audit issues, and you will be able to assess the impact that those audit issues will have on the audit opinion. So you should be sharing. You must have, all of you must have dealt with a lot of audit issues in your experience if you were in the statutory audit field. So you should think of 2 or 3 examples of audit issues that you handled, because the interviewer will definitely ask you that, what, please share any experience that you had in terms of handling audit issues, and you should be ready with that. That what were the major audit issues that you identified. It could be issues with respect to impairment, it could be issues with respect to going concern, it could be issues with respect to valuations, anything. But you have to be prepared with what were the issues, how did you identify the issue, how did you discuss that with the management, what were the major points that you decide, based on which you decided how you want to conclude on it. And if you concluded saying that there has to, because of this there has to be a modification to the audit opinion, that is where you have to put down each and every aspect on why the audit report was modified, or why it was not modified and there was only an emphasis of matter. So all these aspects you should be covering while you are discussing your experience in handling audit issues. Always ensure to make a mention of the size of the team you've handled. It also gives a lot of confidence to the interviewer, right? If you have handled like a team, some few of you must be having an experience of handling team with the size of like 10, 12. If you worked on very large size listed companies with more than 5-10,000 crore turnover, in that case you must be handling team of 10, 12, 15 people. So that kind of experience is something you should be mentioning when you are discussing with an interview, because that actually gives a lot of confidence to the interviewer, that if this person has been handling such large clients with such large team and guiding them to ensure that the audit is completed, it is a big plus. Lastly, I would say, when after the audit, after you've demonstrated that how you have ensured that the audit is complete, you performed all procedures, covered all the risks, and you managed the team, delivered to the client within the timeline. There is also a factor that how are you adding value to the client. So within the auditing standards, there is a ISA, which is ISA 260, which requires you to actually inform or make those charged with governance, make them aware with all the matters that you had identified during the audit, how you resolve them, and if there are certain matters that need to be brought to their attention, that should be always there. So if you talk to the interviewer in those terms, telling them that what kind of value you can add, and if you have done this earlier, if you've issued management letters, and if you issued a report under ISA 260 to those charged with governance, you should discuss this with the interviewer, because the interviewer always here in this part of the world, there is the auditing firms always look to see that how they can actually add value to the client over and above just completing the audit, which should not look like a mere stamp that they are paying for. And because of the kind of experience that you have and the benchmarking that you can do, because in the same industry you audit so many other companies, you can actually guide the client in terms of what better they can do in terms of improving their processes, in improving their internal controls, or in improving certain type of reportings for that matter. So these kind of value adds really help, in terms of giving the client any value added services over and above the audit. So if you have done that, please make a mention of it, and remember of passing this on, um, passing this on to information to the interviewer. Lastly, also where you have, if you have experience on working on tools, and if you have worked on various auditing tools, and which could be methodology tools, which could be sampling tools, or which could be robotics. This is something which adds a cherry on the cake. If you have all the above things which I discussed, and plus you have the experience of working on various tools, which could be e-audits, or it could be caseware. If you've handled clients through all these tools, and you had used some sampling tools, or you used tools to identify any fraud risks with terms of ISA 240, you should mention that definitely to the interviewer, because here in the UAE, most of the audit firms, they operate through tools. Manual files and only Excel based audits is not something which you would see here in most of the audit firms. So therefore, having that kind of experience adds a big value to to your CV. Obviously, you should mention all this on your CV, but when you are appearing for the interview, you should make a mention of all the experience that you have in handling all these types of tools. Robotics is something I'm really excited about, the robotics that is coming into the audit field, and how it is changing the audit field. Because one of our speaker, Mr. Nanda, he specifically mentioned that if you want to be in this field, you have to be updated with the IT changes that are happening. And robotics is something that is changing the way audits are going to be performed. A lot of large firms have already moved into it. When I was with KPMG, I had myself done a pilot project on a very large size listed client, and believe me, the whole risk based audit approach is changing with the robotics that is coming in. So if you have the experience, that is fantastic. You should that will definitely help you in in your interviews and creating an impression with the interviewer. But even if you don't have the experience, I would advise all the members to actually go through what are the changes that are coming. It is easy these days. If you Google it, or you go on YouTube, there are so many videos that will explain you how audits are changing, and how robotics is coming into picture. Basically, in a risk based audit approach, you identify your high, medium, low risks, and based on your risk for each financial statement area, you perform works, and you do sample testing, or you do substantive analytical procedures. But in robotics, you can practically test 100% of the volume through the robots. So it does not mean that as professionals we are not going to be required. It does not mean that. But with robotics, it is actually going to change the way we do the audit. So if the robotics is actually doing 100% verification of all the samples, then it will throw exceptions, and then through those exceptions we have to see how we can resolve them. These exceptions could be because of various reasons, and possibly we could get a lot of issues out of it, and a lot of management letter points out of it also. So this is something I believe everyone should be updated on. Lastly, I would like to conclude by saying, as a piece of advice, because I interview a lot of people in last 10 to 12 years. I've been on the interview panel of various firms who I've been working with. And one thing as an interviewer I don't appreciate is if someone does not have the knowledge, or does not have the experience, and still tries to justify that yes, I do have. That actually does not go well with the interviewer. So just, it is okay to say I don't have the experience on this, but I have the theoretical knowledge which I can demonstrate to you, and through that, whenever I get a chance, I can easily handle such things. So it is okay to say that. So with that, I would like to conclude this presentation, and I would like to thank all the committee members to giving me a chance to add some value for all the new members. Thank you, Prabdeep.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tushar, for your detailed elaboration. As we have candidates who would be appearing from 1 year of experience to 5-6 years of experience, I'm sure this would be adding value to everyone for the audit industry. And we have many who would be appearing for larger number of experience, but those are mainly related to the industry side, and I'm sure this would have benefited everyone who is present here today. So thank you so much. Thank you to Ranjit, and thank you to Tushar for helping us to conclude our first session, wherein we divided the time.
And just one more thing, Prabdeep,
Yes.
I would like to say we've shortlisted, I think, 10 candidates, and we are looking forward to meeting everyone in the next few days.
Thank you, Tushar. Thank you, Ranjit. Thank you so much for this. Now, the next we will be covering, as I told you, the business environment in UAE as the large number of industries, specifically focusing on UAE as a large number of opportunities are there in UAE, and many of these opportunities are there because we have a new tax regime, corporate tax, which is coming soon. Everyone knows about it. There are a large number of firms in India also who are looking to have their offices if they didn't had earlier. And we have one very experienced member who has a great experience in India and UAE. So he gives us the perspective which becomes relevant for everyone. And in 30 minutes time, he would be taking us through the important points, what we should know about UAE. And if you don't know, then what you can do to know. So we have CA Pankaj S. Jain. Pankaj is a member of our institute and with over 2 decades extensive experience in indirect taxation in India and Europe. Pankaj specializes in entire gamut of indirect taxation, transfer pricing, tax controversy management and resolution, and international taxation. Pankaj also possesses a rich experience in tax litigation and have successfully represented client interests before various judicial fora across India. As a trusted tax advisor and in-house tax leader, Pankaj has advised and assisted leading MNCs and Indian companies on Indian goods and service taxes, GST, European GST, VAT, service tax and custom issues, business model structuring, indirect tax optimization, and VAT implementation. Pankaj is a regular speaker in seminars, conferences organized by Confederation of Indian Industries, our institute, and other tax forums across India. He has also addressed large audiences on various issues such as GST, SEZ, VAT and works, contract, custom, service tax, and more. He has contributed articles on VAT, GST, and service tax issues in the Economic Times and tax publications in India. Thank you so much, Pankaj, for being.
Thank you, Prabdeep.
Yeah, if I can tell the audience that if you search the name of Pankaj S. Jain in Google, you will find many articles written for various publications here in UAE. But I have told Pankaj that, you can focus on how the business environment has changed over the last 5 years and how it is changing, because we cannot teach so many. Our objective was not to teach laws, but to tell you that how the things are there. And if you know the things very well, if you don't know from where, what you should know and from where you can learn. No, as we have 3-4 days for interviews to go. So Pankaj, in a quick 30 minutes, whatever you can cover. And I would request all to give a big virtual round of applause to Pankaj and Pankaj. The screen is yours.
Thank you, Prabdeep. And thank you, the Institute, for inviting me to speak and interact with the young members. If I can request, I don't have any PowerPoint slides. So if everyone can switch on their camera, so that we can see each other, and it will be I would request interactive session. Ask questions in between also.
No, sorry to interrupt you, Pankaj. Actually, our members are seeing on a virtual portal because they are in thousands. So, so here we have only speakers and the team to speak.
Sure. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Prabdeep, and welcome to all. So I'll start with a little bit of my journey, and before that, I'd just like to mention that Prabdeep has been really kind and generous in appreciating me and our firm. But yes, UAE definitely has a very good opportunity. I myself have come to UAE in around October 2017, so it's been about 5.5 years. I'll not take you through my journey, how I came and everything, but the fact remains, yes, that for chartered accountants, in especially hailing from India, it's a very good opportunity to be in this market at the current time. I'll also take you through how we see the market, what has been our experience, and how you should go for it. So, first thing, all of us should remember, and especially as the young chartered accountant aspiring to do our best and learn as much as possible, that UAE provides you a platform where you are meeting an international competition. So it is not that only the chartered accountants hailing from India are working and operating in the UAE. There are chartered accountants from Pakistan. There are chartered accountants from the UK, Europe. Accountants or professionals from the Gulf countries are also practicing in the UAE. So that's something very a league apart, a very good opportunity to shine and understand in the international environment. At the same time, of course, there are multinationals in India as well. However, the kind of and the quantum of multinationals in UAE would be far more, and especially you interact with peoples of different nationality. So that also gives you a very interesting perspective in terms of how people culturally, intellectually interpret certain things. So that gives you a very positive of coming to UAE and practicing UAE, whether it's tax, which is our specialization, it is audit or accounting, anything. So I'm not saying that the opportunity is only for taxation. This global platform is available to you in any of the field that you practice as a chartered accountant. Also, what is required in this market, and when I kind of delve deep into taxation, is I'm sure all of you would have heard, but let me repeat that UAE historically, ever since 1971, when UAE was formed, it never had a taxation regime or a formal taxation regime. The very first time the taxation was introduced was in 2017 October, which was by way of an excise tax, and the more broad-based tax of VAT, which was introduced in January of 2018. And again, you all would be aware that starting June 2023, there is a corporate tax which will be introduced. So, of course, we see it as an opportunity, but also see it as the market gap or the market requirement. Professionals, business owners who have been operating here for ages have not been used to a thorough formal taxation process. So this is where we as chartered accountants can fill that market gap, because we carry not just the educational qualification and the thoroughness of education, different course materials that we have, but also the overall environment in India in which we grow up. That taxation is something we easily understand and can explain. So take that as a market gap which we can easily target as a professional, whether as an employment or as our own practice. But it's UAE offers you a very good market. What is required in that is a thoroughness, which of course, being a chartered accountant myself, I know that our course materials, the institute teaches us to be thorough, so that be it inter foundation final. Like I've become old. I've done my CA, I think in 2004. I know the material has changed, but that thoroughness is really appreciated in this market, be it multinationals or the local companies here. That's really good. I also want to show why UAE is also in a global, a very good market to be in. UAE is constituted of 7 emirates. It's like if you take an example of India. So India as a country has different states. So UAE has different emirates, 7 emirates in particular. Capital being the Emirates of Abu Dhabi, and Dubai, which is more globally known at the global stage level. If I can say, of course, each Emirates has its own advantages, plus points, its own economic factors. But Abu Dhabi and Dubai are, amongst all the other Emirates, the leading Emirates, and most of the professionals, most of the companies are found in this. The way the business is set up, it's not that if you are set up in Dubai, you cannot practice or work in any of the other Emirates. Yes, you can do that. At the same time, there is a concept of free zones in the UAE, wherein historically, if you are setting up a company in UAE, in any of the Emirates, you need to have a local Emirati national as a 51% partner in your company. How UAE grew was they started a concept of a free zone, loosely speaking, something similar to a special economic zone. Incentives are given. And one such incentive was 100% foreign ownership is also allowed. So that's the big advantage of a free zone. Now that multinational foreign-owned companies have been set up in, sorry, I just got a call in between. So now that the foreign ownerships are allowed in free zones, historically, a lot of companies have been set up. But UAE is also now reforming itself in terms of the business environment, business framework. And in many fields, foreigners can open up a company in mainland without the need for a local partner. So the mainland companies are also increasing in the whole process. Now, why we are talking about this free zone and mainland companies is that the corporate requirements or the kind of a company setup or the framework of law which is operated in the mainland and the free zones are very different, and which again gives us an opportunity to service to our clients and provides the services. At the same time, when we talk about UAE is actually a center of global investment. In terms of, if you see, especially after the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, UAE is considered to be a fairly secure place for people to invest in and invest from. So companies are getting set up wherein they are investing globally by keeping UAE as their hub. Also, you would have heard of, in terms of the technology sector, Web3, cryptocurrencies, blockchain. And UAE as a country responds very fast to the emerging trends. And a lot of companies in this technology sectors are also setting up their base. When we are talking about companies setting up their base, we basically talk about the startups also, bootstrap startups or funded startups and everything. And these startups do require accounting discipline, accounting services, and of course the tax advisory because the tax is growing. So this again for the chartered accountants is a very, very good market to be in to provide accounting services, and especially in the corporate tax perspective, the focus on accounting will increase substantially. Now, having told in terms of what are the positives and what are the strengths for professionals to be in, there are few things I would like to highlight from my experience.
Yeah, Pankaj, yeah, a little bit. Can you take the audience, through because all these will be appearing in interviews. All our members who are here would be appearing in interviews from 26th onwards until 3rd. So with the experience of more than 1 year to 15 or 20 years of experience. So therefore, as you have told about how the tax regime is changing, if you can take them through that, there are resources from where they can see, learn something, and what they should know, and also on the free zone, as your expertise in the free zone, the difference between free zone and the local market, the land, how the companies are formed, like on the mainland and on the free zone, that would help them give an idea on the business environment. And in Middle East also it will get covered because it's very similar there. So if those things you can say, and
Sure.
yeah, as our focus is not on what kind of advisory services they can give. Our focus is to teach our members on what they should know when they appear for interview, what the organizations may ask them. Yeah.
Sure, definitely. Thanks. So yeah, so this is where I was coming to that in terms of now we are going for the interviews. What are the things that you need to take care of? One, of course, carrying an experience, and especially the educational experience from India. Uh, uh, One, you should know where to look for an answer. So organizations or companies would have, let's say, where I'll focus my discussion on taxation first, right? You may not know the UAE law immediately, but you should know how to read the law, how to find an answer. Do not presume anything from an Indian context because it happens like this in India. It could also happen in UAE like this. Now, in terms of the resources where you can get these tax publications, is of course the UAE tax authority have their own website. If you would like to note down, the address is tax.gov.ae. And then there is an English version of this website where you have all the resources in terms of the public clarification, guidance, the legislation, the act, the law itself, and that you can read to understand the basics of it. You would also find a lot of guidance, YouTube videos by the tax authorities themselves or by various professionals, which you can go through to understand the basic background of the UAE taxation. The second thing is again in terms of understanding the taxation or the kind of questions that you will be asked. Uh, I would presume that the prospective employers would not would want you to be a UAE tax experts right now at the interview stage, because what you are bringing is your knowledge, your passion, your interest in working. So understand the question specifically and see how to look for an answer in terms of the issue or the transaction in question. Now, let us say if I would have been a employer, my issue would not be okay under the UAE VAT law or under the UAE corporate tax law. What would be the tax implications when a company is issuing a discount voucher for supply of goods or for supply of services? Or if it's a three-party contract, who should be liable to pay tax? Now, nobody is asking you to understand the UAE tax law, but you should know how to evaluate a transaction, because even under the Indian GST laws or service tax law earlier, or under the income tax law also, you are already capable of understanding the nature of transaction in terms of who's supplying, who's receiving, who's earning the income, what is the nature of expense when it comes to corporate tax, should be allowed as a deduction or not. So be very clear in your fundamentals. So long as your fundamentals are strong, there is nothing which can stop you. More than that, the resources that you should know or you should start reading if you're aspiring to work in the UAE is frequently asked questions which are issued by both the tax authorities and the Ministry of Finance, especially on the corporate tax, wherein you can see the common issues that are being addressed that will get answered by the tax authorities and the Ministry of Finance. So, in the interview, when an employer would ask you, they would expect you to know the basic structure or the basic features of the UAE taxation, which you can easily adopt and learn from the frequently asked questions which have been released by the authorities. Prabdeep, any other thing that you would like me to address?
Pankaj, maybe you can brief on the taxation is okay. Maybe you can move on to the business side of it, business environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. So so as I was saying, UAE provides a global platform to both the professional and to the businesses to operate in the global world. So the business environment is certainly very, very progressive. The government has taken a lot of initiative CFO, CEOs, the accounting finance managers at different operational levels also, and also various professionals. So you would feel at home. It's not absolutely a foreign culture or a foreign country for anyone to come from India, including the food requirements, so to say. What is required from a with the adequate number of employees, assets, and everything. So in those cases, you need to ensure that the compliance framework is correct. Otherwise, there would be a severe penalty. So bear in mind that in UAE, while everything is progressive, there is any self-assessment regime would also have heavy penalties for non-compliances. Pradeep, over to you. You can ask me a few questions and I can answer with my experience.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Pankaj. Many times what I've seen is that when it comes to free zones, now the taxation regime is coming, and the understanding on free zone or what rules should apply to free zones are becoming different. Then, these questions which used to be asked 5 or 7 years back, because the free zones here had been more as a business convenience than related to tax, but now this issues of tax comes up. So therefore, if you can throw light on that, what was the purpose of free zones that it came through, which are so many large numbers, and now how those kind of questions when it comes to tax are getting answered related to that.
It's a very, very relevant and good question. Thank you for asking this question. Gives me a lot to share. So, as we said, UAE, when it was formed, there has been a economic transition, which has over the years, it has progressed. So if you see, there was, if I can say, not an inherent economy when the country was formed. So free zone was one of the major boost to the economy with which it started. The concept of free zone was essentially to make UAE as an international trade hub. So when we are talking about an international trade hub, if you see geographical location of UAE, it has a huge advantage of becoming a kind of a midpoint for East and West. So it's even including for the airlines, I'll come on that later. So the free zone was started wherein the country said, bring your goods to the UAE from a shipping containers perspective, keep it here as long as you want. We will create a free zone. We will not charge you a customs duty. And then you export it to any other countries that you would like to export. So therefore, UAE become a huge transition port to ship the goods internationally from east to west or vice versa. Within that also, companies were set up in the free zones to keep the goods and then kind of feed the GCC market as a whole, which becomes again an economic perspective or development for them. So that was the purpose of free zone, to give a boost to the economy and take the advantage of its geographical location. Then the free zone concept was also evolved, as I said, that free zones were allowed wherein the companies can be set up with a 100% foreign ownership. So if you look, and especially again at a global platform, many of the multinationals, whether it's European or American, they would always like to retain 100% ownerships on any of the subsidiaries as well. So that again, the country responded that saying, okay, you set up the company in free zone and we will allow you 100% ownership. You don't need to have any other local partners first. Now, okay, why should a company be set up in free zone? The country also promoted that once you set up in free zone, we will allow you a tax exemptions for a particular number of years. So free zones have been set up in different emirates, and within one emirate, there could be multiple free zones. And some of the free zones could be specializing into a specific field itself. So one free zone could be only for technology, one free zone could be only for media, one free zone could be only for trading purposes. So that's how the free zones have been set up. Now, with that corporate tax coming, there is this concept of a promissory estoppel legally, wherein if you have already promised a tax exemption, then even if a tax regime is now being introduced, that promise which you have made, basis which the companies have been set up in the free zone, that promise would be fulfilled subject to certain conditions for whatever number of years the exemption was granted. One thing I would like to explain here in the context, if I were to compare India and UAE free zone concept, because this is something when I started my career, I also had a dealt with, and I realized the potential of UAE early on, about 15, 16 years back. So if you see the aviation business, wherein aircrafts, helicopters, private charters, and everything do need spare parts, and that too at a very, very short notice. So countries and all the aviation OEMs, spare part providers would like to create a local base so that it can be, the spare parts could be given to the airlines. Aircraft coming from the US to India and needs an immediate repair or some replacement. Now the question is where to set up this spare parts base. If in India it was being set up, now India customs law require that, okay, there is something concept of called bonded warehouse. You can keep the goods in a bonded warehouse. However, if the 90 days have lapsed since the goods have come in, the custom duty still needs to be paid, even though the goods remain there. On the other hand, now if you compare it with UAE free zones, UAE free zones have not put any time limit. That, okay, you maintain your warehouse of the spare parts here, keep it for 5 years, we don't mind. We would not charge you customs duty. So a lot of companies therefore set up in UAE free zones their warehouses so that they can kind of feed the global market on these spare parts. So this is one such advantages of a free zone in the UAE concept.
Okay. Pankaj, we have, as I told earlier also, that we have large number of audit firms who are participating in the campus. And, these audit firms may use the resources, any of our members they are interviewing for audit or for taxation, which didn't used to be the case until a few years back. That whatever recruitments used to happen 80-90% for the audit. Now, now considering we are in a very early stage of that, earlier we had a corporate tax consultation document which happened for the first time, was introduced, which came out for public comments in May. Then we have in April, May, then we have a law which was recently, came in. And now we are waiting for the rules, regulations, which are expected. So at this point of time, and there's a lot of demand I see for transfer pricing opportunities. And firms have to firm up their resources before, they can, so that they can serve their clients. So at this point of time, if a candidate is interviewed for such opportunity, transfer pricing, expertise, corporate tax, serving in taxation. So in 3 points, what you can share again, that what they should do for their preparation for the interview, the 3 most important points.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabdeep, for asking this question. So, the 3 points for candidates when it comes to the interviews on the taxation and focusing on corporate tax and transfer pricing, understand and kind of review your fundamentals of corporate tax and transfer pricing. So, what are the different methods of transfer pricing under which the benchmarking can be done? Under corporate tax, what is the kind of a documentation and the typical issues of expense deductions, non-deduction, how to identify the business expenses. So, review your fundamentals. Second point I would talk about to the candidates who would give interviews is also read either the FAQs or the law which is available in the public domain. It's not difficult to understand. It's a simple English. All of you have been groomed enough in the 3 years, 4 years of CA studies and everything to quickly grasp the technical concept of a tax law. So don't be afraid to read the law or the FAQs. You can pick it up very easy. Third, whenever a question is asked from you, understand the questions related to the fundamentals of the transactions and then reply. So these are the 3 things I would recommend to the candidates when they go out for the interviews. Don't be afraid. Believe in yourself, the grooming that you have got in the CA studies, and read the law. You are on mute, Pradeep. Sorry.
Sorry for that. Thank you so much, Pankaj. I want to lead a discussion and have your opinion on some point I wish to share, which is important for our members to know. Is that the UAE, and you please share your opinion. This is the last point we'll cover here. Is that UAE as a country in Middle East is somewhat different from the countries in Africa and other Middle East countries when it comes to the cost of living. Even in UAE also, the living cost in certain cities like Ras Al Khaimah and Fujairah is less than that maybe there in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and also similarly in Sharjah. So therefore, what happens is that the package which the organizations from city to city offers, they offer a different package. And what we have seen in the past is that, the most of our members' keen interest is to move to UAE first, look for opportunity in UAE, and then look at the other countries. But what we have seen is that, our spread of our members in Middle East and Africa is more than half of our members abroad are there. The things have been changing, where more and more members are venturing into Africa. Though we don't have many opportunities in this campus from Africa, we still have. So therefore, based on your experience, to encourage our members that, UAE is one country, but there are other countries also to look at. Can you share any experience where, members, if they are appearing for opportunities outside UAE, they are encouraged to look at that?
Yes. So if I have understood your question correctly, Pradeep, then I'll try to answer is yes. In addition to UAE, there are other countries, and especially the Africa region is becoming an investment hub globally, and therefore the opportunities which are appearing in Africa is phenomenal. When I'm saying opportunities, because while we don't practice in Africa, we are seeing many of our clients are investing in Africa, and their requirements, both in terms of operational people and the accountants, is increasing. As chartered accountants, we always serve a very crucial functions of business, be it the finance as an in-house role or consultants. So whenever our investment is increasing in one country, it will certainly require the finance professionals, tax professional, audit professionals to be there. And Africa, if you watch any of the international TV channels like BBC, CNN, it has a lot of documentaries on the investment potential because of the natural resources of Africa. So yes, if the opportunities are arising or coming from Africa, go for it, because that's where the future lies. From a cost of living perspective, yes, compared to India, there's always this initial hitch that everyone has, including me. Even till date, I sometimes kind of count into INR and then. But trust yourself that each country has its own dynamics in terms of the salary levels and the corresponding cost of living. So don't get too intimidated or overwhelmed by either the cost or the salary levels. Focus on what is you are getting to learn the opportunities. And repeating the same point which Pradeep said, yes, if there are opportunities coming from Africa, go for it, because that's where the future lies. And a lot of companies have are diversifying into Africa for obvious reasons that's where the future lies. Also, Africa as a country, as I understand, some of the countries, Africa as a continent, some of the countries in Africa are actually reforming their business environment, their entire corporate governance setup, the kind of a political push which is happening, the kind of a civil movement which is happening to be more entrepreneurial and more investment oriented. So, we also as individuals need to come out of that mindset or the kind of image that we may have for some of the African countries. Africa as a continent and many countries are growing phenomenally.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Pankaj. I would also wish to add, that we have many rank holders who are currently in Africa. For groups like OLAM, ETG is part of our overseas campus. And the countries, the West Africa, the most of the opportunities, East Africa, it's East Africa, West Africa, these are the countries which have a very large presence. And since 2020, many cities of Africa came on ICI map because we little bit tweaked our rules and have started having representative offices with less number of members than a chapter. And so I'm sure your session has been a great session where our members have got a great insight. Thank you for inspiring words, Pankaj. As you inspire, as I said earlier, as you inspire every day to us on media, you inspire today our members directly. And with this, thank you for taking out time.
Thank you. I'll just share one last word on the point that you made. Trust me, and I want to all the members who have joined us here. I'm only passing on what I have learned from my seniors, and go keep the tradition. There is nothing I am doing as an individual, nothing that I'm bringing on table. I'm just passing on what I have learned from my seniors in different organizations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. We will be now moving on to our third session, which is on interview skills. And we have our very senior member, Raju from Qatar. Thank you so much, Raju, for being here with us today. And I'll first give a few words about you, then I will have a chat before I hand over to you. So Singha Raju is a member of our institute and has extensive experience abroad. He started career with AF Ferguson, Mumbai, and worked in various MNCs in leadership position. He has experience of working in various sectors such as banking, manufacturing, trading, contracting, and retail sectors. Worked in senior management positions within 4 countries, namely India, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and Qatar. He is currently working as a group CFO for a holding company. He has achieved distinguishment of being a distinguished Toastmaster awardee twice, once in traditional path and under another new pathways. So, Raju, we are back here today in an initiative of CMIB and the second committee of WTO for services. You did extensive work in CMIB last year. 2021. That was a year, we started with one batch, with one kind of a virtual orientation for our newly qualified. And you continued that journey privately, personally, to mentor so many of our members. And in front of the members who are here to participate in overseas campus, I would like to extend a deep gratitude to you for all what you did with one session and continued by you taking out time for our members who you mentored. So now today we know that you have been a great communicator, great presenter. So today our objective is to particularly tell our members, most of them will be appearing in virtual interviews and some in physical interviews. So when I appear in virtual interview, physical interview, that what a member can do, should do, so that what are the do's and don'ts which they should take care of. And then when we will be doing a panel interview with some, I have requested the panelists to also give a feedback later on, so that, the demonstration which we are doing is effective on what may be right or wrong. And if I know that today is a working day for you in Qatar, and you are taking your time, if later on also you have a little time, you can keep it off, on and off. You can come in if there's anything you have. So with this, I request all our members to give a big virtual round of applause for Singaraju. And Raju, the screen is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhadeep. This is what I love in CMIB. I love coming back because of Prabhadeep's introduction. He's so articulate and he will take you to such a level which you never imagined. Thank you very much, Prabhadeep and Mr. Ranganathan. I think, we must acknowledge their immense contribution for the chartered accountants. Okay, now, before I start my session, I would like to now sit back, relax, and I would like to ask each one of you a question. Do you want to be a big fish in a small pond, or a small fish in a big pond? Think about it. You don't need to tell the answer right now. You can put it at the back burner. My second question is, what is important? The process or the end result? Just think about it. What is important? Now, based on my experience, when I started concentrating on the end result, I need to get it, I need to make it, it only resulted in being anxious, desperate, stressed, and nervous. So get the process right. And even if not for the first time, I'm sure second time you will be successful. Now, session like this is to ensure that you get the process right, which is very important. Now, I must confess, if you are looking for a PowerPoint presentation, I'm sorry, there's no PowerPoint presentation. Even in this virtual mode, I would like to connect with each one of you. So sit back, relax, and if you have any questions, you can communicate the same thing. And now, what can you expect from today's presentation? I would be doing it in 4 parts. The first one is, what are the skills that the employer is looking for? The second one is, what do you do before the interview? What do you do during the interview? And presentation and communication. And in the last, I'm going to give you some tips which would help you in performing better. Okay, the first one is but even before us going to the details, I want each one of you to remember that as all of you are chartered accountants, remember, everything else in this world is possible if you think it's possible, right? So you pass the toughest CA exam because you have persistence, you are dedicated, and you have the comprehension abilities. So before you go for an interview, I want you to be relaxed and tell yourself, I'm the best. You tell that and you will do your best. Now, first, I want to talk about the skill sets. The first one is honesty and integrity. Extremely important. Remember, you are carrying the flag, the CA flag, and we have professional ethics and all that, right? And if you recollect, Tushar in his presentation said, we don't like, the candidate might be brilliant, but if he's trying to fake it, we will know just like that. So always be honest, and truth is extremely important. Now, in the skills, there are two types of skills. One is the hard skills. Hard skills, I mean your functional knowledge of the accounting standards, the banking, finance, and all the subject matter. The second is your computer skills. How savvy are you at computers? That's very important. And then I still remember when I qualified myself as a chartered accountant, I felt at the top of the world. I said, the whole world is at my footsteps. But once I started receiving the regret letters, that had me grounded. I realized the truth behind it. So so the best way to go about the hard skills is to have someone to actually mentor you. That's extremely important. You have the knowledge, you have the skills, but how to put it forward in a practical way. So find a mentor. Now, the third one is the soft skills. In soft skills, what do I mean by soft skills? It is the teamwork, interpersonal relationship, organization, leadership. So I would like you to, just jot down in a book, in a paper, whatever it is. If you just spend about half an hour, you can clearly find incidents which you have actually displayed and write it down. It's very important that these play a very important role, because imagine if there are 500 people and they want to select only a couple of them. Now, how do you stand out from the rest of the audience? Everyone have the same base, same starting qualified chartered accountant, but what is it that the employer wants? You only. These are the things which really make a difference. Now, at the workplace, there are some skills like creative, tactfulness, listening, thinking through problems, and detail oriented. So these are now, let me give you an example. You know what creative means? Remember, every problem has 1,000 solutions to it. Just remember. And tactfulness. Suppose you have your boss who says something very stupid, or your employer, when the interview is going on, he says something. He might do deliberately or not. But then how do you do? How do you respond? Do you say, no, this is wrong. This is not the way. This is the way it is. You need to do it in a tactful way, which you can tell him in a nice way, saying, yeah, wonderful point, but I think the way I see it is, it's something like this. So the important thing is that you're not being judgmental, but you're saying your opinion. So this is very important, tactfulness. And now we come to the next stage, which is before the interview. Before the interview, what do? Do a complete research about the company. What do they do? What are the financials? And now in these days of social media, there's no depth of information. You can name the person, you'll get all the details. So try to find out, do some research. Now, I know one particular person, he was interviewed by one of the big four. I have recommended him. And then he was brilliant, but he did not do research about the company, what they do, what is. So it's very important that you do some background verification on the company, how they are performing, not small things, but the overall, what do they do and what their expectation, that's important. So that gives an impression to the employer that you're someone who is very systematic and who does his background work before attending the interview. Now, the second thing is What position are you applying for? What position is that? What is the expectations? This is also important. If possible, try to get this, because what is most important in an interview, what differentiates between success and failure, is your ability to connect with the employer. Now, if he's looking for oranges and you give him apples, you know what the result would be. But if you give him oranges, fantastic. Nothing like it. And your voice will be like music for the ears of the employer. Yes, this is the person I'm looking for. So it's very important that you actually do the groundwork and know about it. And in some cases, try to find out who will be the person who will be interviewing you. It's very important to know the persona of the person. Now, for example, let's say your employer, you come to know that Prabhadeep is going to be your employer. Find out about Prabhadeep, what he likes, what he doesn't like. In social media, you have everywhere. So talk something which you can connect with him in a practical way. And that will do wonders. And when you appear for the interview, dress your best. Because what happens is it boosts up your confidence. And you feel good about yourself. When you feel good about yourself, you do your best. And now, in the online interview process, if you're appearing on online, what you need to do is sit before a mirror. Sit before a mirror, and online you can see many questions. Take 4-5 questions and see how you're going to attempt them. This will give you an increased confidence. Yes, I'm the best. And for example, if most of you might think, oh, nervous, what do? I will give you a simple solution. Just tighten your whole body, look up, and have a smile on your face. All your tension, nervousness will go away. Just be yourself. That's what employer is looking for. They want someone who is very frank, straightforward, speaks his mind out. That's important. Now, during the interview process, okay, you're ready, and imagine if you have to catch a flight, what do? If it's domestic, 1 hour before you're there. If it's an international, 2 hours or 3 hours before. Here also the same thing applies. At least 15 minutes before the session. Try to be ready and because some employers don't like, they are there and the candidate is not available. This will not work in your favor. So always make sure. Now, even for today's session, I joined half an hour before my scheduled time because I want to get myself comfortable. I want myself to be breathing freely. Yeah. So it's important that 15 minutes before the interview, you're there. It's online or physical. Now, the most important thing, smile always. Even if you don't know the answer for the question, what the interviewer asked you, smile. A good question. Yeah, I never thought about it like this. So keep the smile going. Now, imagine if you are the one who is interviewing people, would you like someone with like this or with a smiling face? So smiling is reception. It shows that you're at complete ease with yourself. And the most important thing in an interview, listen carefully. Listen carefully. Now that you have done your background of the company, the person who is interviewing you, listen carefully to what they're asking for. If they're talking about India and you're answering them about UAE or Saudi, it will not help. If you don't understand, feel free to ask them once again. Excuse me, no, this is where I did not understand. They would definitely clarify what they're asking you. They would repeat it. And when you go for the interview, read them. Now, here is some important thing. If it's an MNC companies, you need to find out the culture. Generally, what happens is that when you meet people, you greet them by the first name. But we Indians have an issue. We always say sir, sir, sir for everything. Probably that organization is somewhere where they want that sir to be said. Then you, sir. So it's very important to know that. But in some places, it might not be effective. So do your background, find out if you need to address them by the first name or using sir, whatever it is, and I can tell you my practical experience. I've been in Middle East for over 2 decades. And once I went to India to a commissioner's office and I said, yes, Ramesh. Now, more than him, the people around, they were astonished, how I'm addressing him by the first name, because he is always addressed as sir. So ensure that this does not happen during the interview. And be positive. Be positive means always look at difficult things enthusiastically. And don't speak ill of anyone. What were the difficult experiences? Then don't say, this guy created lots of problems. No, don't say that. He was quite a challenging person. But I learned a lot. I've grown up. Statements like this shows that you're positive. And be enthusiastic. Be enthusiastic in what you're saying. People like, even if it's online or offline, they like someone who is very enthusiastic. Now, having said that, it's like an oxymoron. Listen more and speak less to the point. Don't keep blabbering around, because you might sometimes see people who would be looking for the loopholes. You speak something out of turn or something like that. So listen carefully, pause, and then give your reply. And focus on the past, future. Don't talk about, your company did like this. No. Forget about the past. What you need to concentrate on the future. And what is the expectations in the job description? If you have a job description, fantastic. Nothing like it. Your job is easy. You just need to take one point and relate it to your work experience and jot it down. That's very important. And here is an open secret I'm sharing with all of you. More often than not, the person who gets selected is the one who asks some intelligent questions to the company. And these should not be based on the company. It should be based upon yourself. What is my career growth? How do you recognize the top performance? And what is the culture which is there in the organization? So these are important things. Ask smart questions. If you're confused, take guidance of someone, but ensure that you ask them some smart questions. This is your time to interview the employer. Think like that and be modest. That's very important. And then ask them in a humble way. So then this will give an indication that the candidate has done sufficient preparation before coming for the interview. He knows what he's talking about. Yeah. And then now comes the presentation. Suppose let's assume that you are attending a physical interview. Don't put too much perfume or oil or, okay, I have an advantage. I don't have too much hair, but if you have a lot of hair, ensure that you're well groomed and you present your best self. Now, if it's an online, okay, if it's an online interview, bottom half doesn't matter. You can wear shorts, anything, no problem. But show your best presence of yourself. And always look straight into the eyes of the employer. How do you do that? Very simple. Look straight into your camera. So that gives an indication that you are confident and you're having a one-to-one conversation with the employer. So look straight into the camera. That's very important. Now we come to communication. Extremely important. If it's a physical, ensure that you give a firm handshake, and as I said earlier, smile at all times. Now, the most important thing is we Indians have the habit of speaking at a faster rate, because if we stop, someone else will come in. This is something very important. Speak as though you're speaking to your friend over a cup of coffee. Speak slowly, and that shows your composure or your maturity. So, and it's, as per the communication thing, 85% is non-verbal and 15% is verbal. Now, if I will not go into the details, but it means how are you using your body, your voice, your facial expressions to your advantage. Now, this is not something you can develop, but make a conscious effort towards it. How you use it to emphasize your message, to show your enthusiasm, to show your energy levels. How do you use that to your advantage? Try it out when you're discussing with your parents, friends, and all that. Make a conscious effort to use your hands. Speak at a slower rate, and your voice to your advantage, to emphasize the message. That's very important. Now, remember, sometimes it's not what you say, but how you say it matters a lot. So when they ask you a question, don't need to blur out immediately. Smile, pause, think about it, and give your reply. That will show a mature this one. Now, in case of you're doing it online, I would suggest don't use your mobile. Don't use your mobile, use your laptop. That's very important, because mobile, someone gives a call, it'll disruption, employer doesn't like it. Use your laptop, and also have a secondary device as a standby. In case the net connection fails, you can connect to that. So that's very important. And the last one, suppose if I tell you, we need to iterate based upon ethnography for the problem. Does it make any sense? No, we have a big problem, because I speak in a language which the employer does not understand. So use the simple day-to-day language. Don't use high-flying words, but the buzzwords are important. Now, if I talk about business process reorganization, these are some common things now, leverage. These are common terms which financial people, so it's very important to have the keywords, key buzzwords in place. Here are some additional tips which I would like to give you, as I promised you in the starting. These are the 3 pillars which I follow in my life. Number 1, whatever you're doing, remember that is sacred. That's very important. It is give respect to the work you're doing, and you will see the results. Number 2, building a community is very important, because none of us are superheroes. We cannot grow beyond the things. We need the support of people like Prabhadeep is doing for this. So reach out to people, have a mentor, and have a community, have people to mentor you. This way, your growth will be much faster. Number 3, convince yourself that every challenge is an opportunity for your growth, in which case you will have a positive outlook towards life. And then be specific. This is very important. Now, people say in interview, I'm dedicated, I'm hardworking, I'm sincere. How do I know that? So if you give them examples, specific examples, I've done this, I've done that, which resulted in a savings of so and so, that will appeal to the employer. Now, watch out for the non-verbal clues. Suppose I'm interviewing you, and as you're giving a reply, I look like this or like this, then that's a time that you need to, move to the next point. And remember, when you're giving an answer, not more than 2 minutes. That's very important. Now, do you know about yourself? That's very important. You know about what your strengths, what your weakness. This is also great. And now, don't think about that you have some weak points like my English is not good, my communication is not good. No, look at the positive side of it, because you are special in your own way. Don't think I took more attempts. That should not be a stumbling block. Be confident, and I'm sure each one of you will be successful if you're positive at all times. Remember, I asked you a question. Do you want to be a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond? Now, it depends. Whichever organization you join, have a mentor, be dedicated, and there's a lot to learn. And if there are some people who are stuck in the organization for a long time, small fish in a big pond, the exposure is not there. So, and at the same time, they're both pros and cons. But think about it, keep in mind, and I'm sure each one of you will have a flourishing career. That's all from me. Over to you, Pradeep.
Thank you so much, Raju. Thank you so much for your time again and inspiring our members. And I'm sure that these points members will remember, brush up few things what we need to do, and will come out with flying colors in the interviews. That's the ultimate objective, that whatever vacancies we have, those get filled, members perform good, and I'm sure that will happen. Thank you so much. So we move on to our last session, where we have the privilege of having 3 of our esteemed members who would be taking mock interviews. And before our members take 2 mock interviews, we'll also have one of the panelists, CA Rajiv Shah, who will briefly in 5 to 7 minutes cover what CFOs look in when they interview. So I'll introduce our esteemed panelists, our panel of interviewers, and then Rajiv will take over from there. So first, CA Rajiv Shah. Rajiv is a member of our institute and currently working as Director of Financial Institutions at Benz & Brett Masood Insurance. He became a chartered accountant in the year 1996 and was a rank holder in the examinations. He has over 24 years of post-qualification experience, and he has been a management consultant with A.F. Ferguson Company, now Deloitte, for 11 years in Mumbai and Middle East, and then served as a group CFO and general manager with Emirates National Holdings Abu Dhabi. He served as the chairman of Abu Dhabi chapter. He is the secretary of he is serving in the Indian Business and Professional Group Abu Dhabi, and he is also our active faculty for GMCS course in UAE. Rajiv is also certified management consultant from Institute of Management Consultants of India. Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you for being here. Then we have CS Sandeep Nair. Sandeep leads in the consulting and ICV divisions at Avas International and is one of the company's co-founders. He has over 15 years of professional experience in Middle East and holds certification from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India from our Institute for Valuation. His areas of expertise is diverse and includes business valuations, impairment reviews, internal audit systems, consultancy, corporate governance, and forensic audits. Then we have Ashna Malgonkar. Ashna is a practicing chartered accountant with almost 2 decades experience in finance and administration in the UAE. She is well-reputed tax consultant in the UAE. She is well acquainted with auditing, information Information Taxation Accounting. She has been associated with several high-profile mergers and acquisitions. She has played a crucial role in setting up the finance and administration departments of organizations. Her clientele includes business from diverse industries, including manufacturing, pharma, real estate, advertising, IT and technology, food, hospitality, etc. She is an ex-banker and actively associated with several platforms for knowledge sharing. She enjoys working with young students and mentoring them in finance and accounting-related matters, also part of university mentorship program. So thank you, Ashna, for being here. My gratitude to everyone, and I would be here with you to take 2 interviews we have lined up. And before that, I request everyone to give a virtual round of applause for all our esteemed speakers or our esteemed panelists. And I hand over the screen to Rajiv. Rajiv, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pradeep. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Hello, everyone, all the listeners and Ashna and Sandeep as well. So basically, I think this round is about doing a couple of mock interviews just to tell the listeners how in a professional environment interviews are taken. And what do we look for when we interview people? So you have all senior people here as panelists who have not only probably given interviews in their life, but taken a number of interviews. So the idea is to explain what we look for, because always what you read in theory does not apply. So we want to bring in a practical orientation to the expectation of the employers, because in today's day and age, for every position, there are so many CVs that come. So what is it exactly that an employer is looking for is what the 3 of us will try to cover today. So that is a small brief from me, and then if Sandeep and Ashna will say something.
Yeah, I think thank you, Rajiv and Ashna. I think that's it from our side. Actually, from the practical perspective, there are certain aspects with respect to leadership, which I will be covering. I'll be asking the questions relating to that and to the interviewees. Thank you.
Yeah. I think Rajiv and Sandeep has covered most of it. But yes, CV doesn't always reflect everything that a person is. So there is interview is one of the most crucial part of it. Finally, it's important how you question and how you get your feedback from the employer. Finally, it is you are going to work there rather than just noting down things on your CV. So it's very important how you draft your CV, at the same time how you face the interview. So yeah, as Rajiv said, we'll go through the practical aspect of it. Over to you, Prabdip.
Yes, Rajiv, you can start.
So,
yeah, we will start with the interview, or you will have.
Yeah, let's start. Let's start with the interview, and then we can summarize towards the end.
Okay, fine. So Shalini, we will start with Ashima or Rajat. Will we?
So you want to introduce the first interview?
Yes. So
Pradeep, would you like to introduce the first interview?
Just a moment. Who is joining? Ashima, can you hear us?
Hello.
Yes, Shalini.
Yeah. Let me. Yeah, I think she has joined.
Yeah. So who we have to start with?
Yeah.
Okay. Is Shalini the first person?
Or Aishwarya, I think, is also there. Aishwarya, you will be appearing in a mock interview now.
Yeah. So she's the other one whom we have lined up just now.
Okay. So so Rajiv, I think we have 3, and we will start with Aishwarya.
Yeah.
Okay. So Rajiv, over to you. Aishwarya, would you like to say anything?
Okay, so let's get straight into it. I'll ask the first 3 questions, and then.
Yeah.
Let me take the first 3, then probably followed by Ashna and then by Sandeep. So it will be easy to go around. Okay. So you said Aishwarya is the first person?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Aishwarya. How are you?
Yeah, hi. I'm good. How are you?
Okay, good. Welcome to our company and for the position that we have applied for. If you can tell us something about yourself and how you are equipped for this position in a very short format, then it will be nice.
Yeah. Hi. So I'm Ashwara. So I'm currently in Bangalore itself, and I'm working with PwC in transfer pricing SBU. It's been a year that I have been with PwC, and I'm looking forward the compliances of TP, like transfer pricing perspective for the company. So during this period, this is my like first job with a Big Four, and like during this period, I have like get to know how to handle a client pressure, how to like deliver the engagement on time, and how to like go to the client's requirement and meet the deadlines, and like be calm and accountable for your like position as well as the work you deliver. And and you have to like take your team with you. It's not like you have been working like alone, but you have to take your team with us together and like meet the client expectations on time. And yeah, so that's my like role in PwC right now. And from the company perspective, like I would be joining, it's like my the knowledge, like I have like a capability to like grab a knowledge very easily. I will dig into the things if I don't know, and try to like come back with a solution, or how to resolve a problem in time, and how to like answer a query and all. So this is like my role, like this is how I will be suitable for the company that I would be joining in.
Okay, can you tell us two strengths and two weaknesses that you have, and be short in your answers?
Yeah, so like strength wise, I'm like very hardworking. I know how to get an answer for a silly problem. And my weaknesses are like sometimes I get involved so much in a work that I can't be able to like account someone. Like if like I want to like so while working on a team, I like to take like the head, like the leadership, but sometimes it's not good. I think everyone should be accountable for their work, and like to work as a team.
Rajiv, you can ask the last question. Yeah.
Okay. I think either my Zoom is stuck or her Zoom is stuck. I'm not sure. Can you hear me, Pradeep?
Yes, yes.
Okay, very good. Okay. So my third question is, of course, suppose now you are in Pricewaterhouse, as you said, or any company you join. If you come to know about a situation where a fraud is being committed either by the management or the shareholders, what is the stand you will take and why?
So I will first inform my manager, like the anyone with whom I'm working, and then I will discuss with him with this. Like I will also like prepare myself for a solution. Like what are the steps that I can suggest my manager? Then I have inform him and discuss with him how we can inform the company, the company like to whom in which the fraud is committed, and go forward with the solution with them. But I will prepare myself like that I have a solution before informing my manager. Like at least I have something to tell him. Like okay, we can do this or not, so that we can take forward and like go ahead with the solution.
Okay, thank you. That's it from my side. If Ashna or Sandeep want to carry on.
Ashna, fine. So what we'll do, we'll
Hello.
Hello.
on to Ashima or Rajat. Who is the next?
We can join Ashima now.
Ashima. Okay, Ashima, please come.
Hi. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Ashima. Your camera, we are not able to see you yet. Can you please open the camera?
Actually, I'm running through battery issues, so that's why I've like turned up this camera.
Okay, fine. No issues. Sandeep, you please go ahead.
Hi, Ashma. How are you?
Hi, Sandeep. How are you doing today?
All well, all well. So my question to you is actually, what would you consider as the, in a leader, what will be the good qualities of a leader, and what do you say? What about the qualities of a bad leader? So can you give us some insights on that?
Sandeep, I believe a good leader must have like.
Yeah.
decision or make everybody participative or at least active on a particular topic. And
just sorry to cut you, Ashna. Actually, I didn't hear you. Actually, can you repeat the answer?
Am I audible? Like, is there
you are
any
audible,
noise?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Shalini. Okay, so Sandeep, what I believe in that a good leader must have actually all his teammates participative and active towards the decision making he is doing. Also, along with that, I believe a good leader must be having this trait of delivering work at the time he is expected to. Talking about the bad leader, I don't believe that somebody is a bad leader. It's just, sometimes there's a bad everybody, tries to count everybody in or tries his or her level best to deliver what he or she has or her have in their hands. So that's what my thoughts are on the topic.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So. Shall I go with the second question? Is it so? My second question to you is actually okay. The second question to you is actually do you consider yourself as a if you are given an option?
For me also, like a video is getting stuck. Yeah.
Okay. You are able to hear me? Am I right?
Yes, Sandeep.
You was just stuck like a minute before only. Otherwise, it's good.
Okay. Sorry for that. Okay. If you are given an option, to select between a big picture oriented person or a detailed oriented person, which option would you select, and what is the reason for that?
Okay, Sandeep, I would honestly like to accept that I Googled for this big picture person because I was aware of this term detail-oriented person, like somebody who, really digs well about the topic or the work which they are doing. But the big picture person was, I just had the idea. I wasn't, did not had that clear picture. And when I Googled, I came up with this, that somebody who believes in delivering an outcome only. So anyhow, like by hook or by crook, for that person, it just matters how the outcome is coming, and it has to be, as per the SOPs or the standards that has been set up for that practice. So I think, exclusively a big picture person and being exclusively a detail-oriented person is not going to help, because the industry where we are in, at the same point of time where we really need to see what we are delivering, what the outcome we are giving to the other person must be at the industry standards or must be at the par. But along with it, we also, simultaneously we need to look we need to do this a deep dive about what we are doing, because we really need to have a good grasp over the concept. We just can't do something by just having looking at the big picture, because sometimes how things are when we actually work on the field at the ground level. When we are working, we go through, just if I'll tell you, like when currently I'm working with PwC. So when there is some section 265, and it just used to come up again and again when I used to draft the audit opinion. So, it's like you need to see what is this section 2 clause 65. And then I got to know that the companies which are listed over there, they need to report some, there are like some standards as per which they need to really report how their internal management is going on. So so when we work, we just can't rely on what we are seeing at the upper layer. Being the part of this profession, we really need to dig deeper. We really need to see what is in detail. At the same point of time, we also need to deliver a quality product or the quality service. So exclusively big picture person or exclusively detail-oriented person is not going to help. We really need to have combo in this competitive market which we are dealing in.
Okay. So one last question to you is actually from my side is actually in terms of culture. Do you prefer, in the work culture, to be you joining an organization in a structured work culture or it entrepreneurial work culture? Which work culture environment would you prefer to join an organization?
Sandeep, I believe that structured work culture, where the people, they're very well placed. We had a hierarchy. We know what are the roles and responsibilities of a person who or who has been placed at this particular position. Okay, and in entrepreneurial, we expect people at that particular position to take ownership of their work. At the same point of time, we also expect them to take part of the other person also. If you know, we want them to have that feeling of belonging with the organization, right? So yeah, so as I was saying earlier also, and I totally believe in that exclusivity is not an option in today's era. We really need to have both, because when we want a business to be structured, the place where I'm currently working in, if it is well structured, at the same point of time it's entrepreneurial also, because I take ownership of my work when I'm delivering it. Okay, but if they'll expect me to having this ownership of my work as well as of the other person also, like for a particular period of time, maybe I can do that, or to just fill in for that position for a period of time. But if they'll ask me to do this for a long run, obviously I'm not going to do that. Or it's not like that I'm not going to do that, I won't be capable of that, because a person does have her or his working capacity, and you just can't go beyond that. So it will be laborious as well, right?
Yes, correct.
We can't do that. So yeah, the work needs to be properly structured when you are working in an organization. Okay, yeah, there comes a time when there are busy phases, and when there are seasons where the work is slow, which is just like part and parcel of the profession where we are in. We see sometimes there are busy phases, we do take ownership and extra ownership where we are required. But yeah, I believe that a combination of both would have done a greater good for all, instead of just believing in that some particular thing or exclusivity of something would can bring greater achievements. I don't believe in that.
Okay. Thank you. I think you're very good with that. Okay. Over to you, Praditi.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Sandeep. Thank you so much. Let me, so we have Rajat here, Rajat Ansal and Ashna, over to you. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, Rajat.
Hi, Ashna. Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine, fine. My first question to you would be, what assignment was the most difficult that you have taken up as of now? And how did you manage to resolve it?
Yeah. So I can share with you my recent experience. So I'm working in Bajaj. So they had given me Oracle implementation project, because this project given me too much knowledge about to understand supply chain management, procurement to payment, and order to cash, and dealing with sales department. I faced difficulty while collecting data from them to making as is requirement, and I had faced difficulty to manage my team because I had two subordinates. Based upon their capabilities, I had given them the work, and there was another task to deal with outsiders like the developers. So I had dealt with them, and they had given me solution. We have tested it. So this was the work I have done recently. So it was very great learning, and also that difficulties was there.
Perfect. Very good. We can move on to the next question. Was there a person in your career who really made a difference? Who you look up to, maybe your idol, whom you really want to follow? Is there anyone like that whom you look up to in your career?
Yeah, I have so many peoples. I can share with you my practical experience. I was working in Bangalore in JSW Steel. So for my manager was very open. So he has given me all the opportunities to learn new things, to implement new softwares. So he has made my career really fantastic. And other than that, I am following so many people on YouTube's. to get the knowledge. So I'm just following them. So I'm also watching some geopolitics news. Like I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. The Vion, she was in Vion. So I'm also following her. So yeah.
It's nice to know that you're aware of different things from social media to supply chain. Good experience. My last question to you would be: what's the most important thing you have learned in school from your teachers and from your friends?
Okay. So from school, yeah, we have learned I have learned like teamwork. So even we have studied like subjects like philosophy, history. So these subjects give me like how to analyze things, how to strategic decision making, and critical thinking. And these subjects has given me that to experience on this. Yeah, I have learned these things from the school.
Excellent, Rajat. So good luck to you all, and over to you, Prabdipji.
Thank you so much, Ashna. We had 3 interviews and 3 panelists, and now I would request our speakers to give general comments on it, and I will start with Singaraju. Raju, because Raju has been very kind. He has given time to observe. And Raju, you can carry on with the more general, maybe not very direct, because the interviewer may not like it. Maybe in a general way, you can carry on points because everyone would know that you may be pointing towards, so that it helps everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. For the first person, I think she had a good voice. She owned the camera and everything, and calm, composed. The only suggestion I have is that you were looking down, which means that it's a sign of nervousness or you're not sure about what you're saying. So just look into the camera, enjoy yourself. That will be perfect. And now, one common thing for every one of you is that be specific. When you're saying something, have an opening, a body, and conclusion, which means if someone asks you a question about the culture, you say that, yes, I think there should be a mix of both. Why? And you say, this is what is the need of the hour. So this is your opinion. It's not right or wrong, but the way you say it impacts a lot. The second one is that the speaking rate, extremely important. As I said, take your time in a relaxed way. You don't need to be fast. The second candidate was, I like the way you did the greetings and you said, I believe this is what it would be. Great. Again, okay, your camera, if it's on, it's better because you need to look for a standby. Now, when a question was asked to you, you like to have did not have the bigger picture or the smaller one. You said, no, you like the bigger picture, but then you contradicted yourself when you said into details is also important. So it's very important that the message has to be cohesive all around. Take a view and stick to it. And again, speaking rate. As I said, we Indians, we tend to speak at a faster rate. Just practice the relaxed way. And when they spoke about the structure, entrepreneur or work style, I like the conclusion. You had a specific combination of both. And you went on with definitions, because employer doesn't like you to define the things. When he's asking you something, he's expecting. So reply to the point. And you said, right. Now the employer will be thinking, she's not sure about what she's talking. It might be a mannerism, but that's fine. But just look into the words, what we speak. The last person, I like the way you encountered your recent experience. You use the key terms and just notice the space in your virtual mode. I think you should lift your camera up. There's a lot of space from your head to the top. So that's most important. And in the question, when it was asked to you, who has made a difference? Name one person and what difference he did. That's it. Don't say YouTube and all this, being specific. But I must tell you, I did not even have half the skills of what you people had when I did my interview. You're all fantastic. Keep it up. Over to you, Pradeep.
Raju, thank you so much. Thank you for your points, which I'm sure will help everyone. I have one point. Now we are here talking about companies which are in Middle East and Africa, wherein most of the management would be, those who would be taking interviews would be Indian only. That's why they are hiring Indian chartered accountants. Now we are not. This culture changes everywhere. In America or Europe, calling person by a first name is very normal, whatever the age be. But here, I believe that every individual in front of us may have a different perspective. So whether to call by a first name, last name, Mr. or Miss or Sir or Ma'am, if you can throw a light, because this may confuse many. If we are talking about Big Four culture, I can understand that, but not everyone may like, because we have companies from small to very large. So how to counter this for everyone? Because that's where the interview starts. If you are making other person unhappy in start, then I'm not sure where the things would be landing up. Yeah. So if you can comment on that.
Okay, for a second, even before I come to the answer, one person was saying, Sandeep, let's, as though she played marbles with Sandeep, So anyway, I would say that the best way, if you're not sure about something, adopt the middle path, where you say, Mr. Prabhadeep, Mr. Singaraju, Mr. Sandeep, something like that. So you are. But even before the interview, what I would do is I would call someone, social media says, connect with someone and find out what sort of culture they have. So this will ensure that you did your background work and you're in line with the culture of the company. Hope I've answered that, Pradeep.
Sorry. Yes, Raju, thank you so much. Thank you. So I will now, we have 7 minutes to go. So we'll give 2 minutes to every speaker and we'll start with Rajiv. Yeah, Rajiv.
Thanks, Pradeep. Thanks, Mr. Pradeep. So, no, I think what Mr. Singaraju has done is an amazing way of summarizing it. And I agree with most of what he has said. Rather than now summarizing more, because he's already done it, I can give a couple of tips to the interviews, because when I take interviews, and especially when I'm taking chartered accountant interviews, I find that they're not well prepared for the interview. So Singaraju just touched upon the subject that, go to the social media. Now, every company has a website, they have LinkedIn, they have so many things. You can find out who works there, find out your connection there, and come well prepared. I've been sometimes very disappointed with chartered accountants when I ask them, what do you know about the company? And they say, sir, I don't know anything. I said, didn't you go to the website? No, I was busy. I came home late. Giving excuse for me, I will immediately reject him. See, I always tell when I take classes for GMCS also, any interviewer makes up his mind within the first 2 to 4 minutes of the interview, whether he is liking the person or not liking the person. Then it may be a matter of just courtesy that you may extend the interview. Or if it's a very rough interviewer, very straightforward, he will say, thank you for coming. We will inform you. We will inform you is the end of the story. Second is you should know what your expectation is, right? So I often confuse my interviewees, and that is the objective of confusing them, asking them, what is your expectation of salary? Now, because I want to see where do they stand in terms of how much they value themselves. Now, it's not that I'm going to give them the salary or something, but I think every person should know their price. So suppose if I'm interviewing someone for a finance manager and he says, sir, it is negotiable. For me, someone saying it's negotiable is not a good answer in today's time, because this guy is going to come to my office. He's going to negotiate with the bankers, suppliers, customers, investors, shareholders, so many people. At that time, I don't want him to go to a meeting and say it is negotiable. He should come from a position of strength. He should understand other person's weakness. And he should come and tell me, my expectation for this job is 25,000 dirhams. Okay. And put the onus, put the ball in the court of the interviewer then, who may say, no, this is too high. It meets my expectation. It is too low, whatever. If he says, no, I have only 20,000 dirhams for the budget for this, then I could always come back with saying, okay, I would be ready to, though I feel I should get 25,000, I'm okay to start with a job at 20,000. And after 6 months, if you feel that I am performing to or exceeding the expectation that you have from me, kindly consider to increase my salary by 5,000 to my expected level. So I am showing confidence that I can deliver. I'm showing what my value is. And I'm saying that tomorrow when he comes to my organization, he's going to represent this way to my external stakeholders who are there. So I think these 2 points for me are extremely important. And I'll stop there. I'll let Ashna and Sandeep say a few things.
Thank you, Rajiv. Sandeep, can you please go ahead?
Yeah, hi. So for me, actually, one point that I usually when we at our firm conducts interview, we look at how the person is actually well prepared with the subject. He is aware of the subject or knowledge. He may not be having the UAE experience or the Middle East experience, but how he is approaching the subject and the level of confidence that he is having. That is actually what determines for us. And the main thing is actually, we come to know, or as very correctly said by Rajiv, that within a certain point of time, we come to know whether he is the right candidate because looking at his confidence, his body language, and the references that he's having, and things like that. So the main aspect of a leader, when we are actually the question of a leader, when we are asking about the question of a leader, is actually the the responsibility that he is able to take, and he's able to he has to evolve in a situation where we expect him to be practically facing that situation, not to evade from the situation. So when we are actually looking for a team member, we want him to be participating in our firm in a manner that he is also able to grow his career. Along with that, he is able to take it responsibility, because here in UAE, the responsibility is there's a fixed responsibility as a chartered accountant we are having. So we need to deliver our aspects. This is what I want to say.
Thanks, Sandeep. I would just like to inform the audience here that it's not that Sandeep's firm only hire men. They hire both men and women,
yes,
but
yes,
in
yes,
general
yes.
sense
Yeah,
that
yeah,
he is
sorry.
common.
Yeah, Sorry for that. Actually, we have got our female population, main population, or mostly the same only.
Yeah,
so we have got
I know about his organization, so that's why I clarified myself.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Ashna, over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, most of the points are covered by the other panelists, but I would just like to add here, when we are going, we know that we are going to face an interview, we should be well prepared for it. Something like running out of battery and these things can be easily avoided, because we know the time that we are going to log in. An interview is something which everybody is not privileged to have. So we should not, take it very lightly. It is very important to be prepared. That shows that you have a method. You can face challenges. You are capable of holding that role. So it is very important to be prepared. Yes, when you are facing an interview, look up to the camera and be specific to your answers, because the people whom you're going to answer are in this industry for 10-15 years. They have taken several interviews by now, so they understand. It's not about, we don't look only at work experience. It's more about how we are as human. Our culture is important for us. So respecting the other person in front, whether its organization culture adopting or not, is later, once you join the organization. Before that, you reflect the culture that you have. That is what I believe in. And I like when people keep their own culture. So having a prefix to someone is always a kind gesture. Look into the camera and be prepared in advance, so that you know that there is some enthusiasm that you're showing from your side as well. The rest is everything is fine. Good luck to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ashna. With regard to the point, I raised and Singha answered the midway. I would say that, until the time it is up to the HR people who may be of our own age or HR team, we may add prefixes like Mr. or Miss. But maybe I believe that the senior management would generally expect the other things. That's what my belief is. That's what I have observed. And the other thing is that with regard to, mock, sometimes we may feel like, okay, it's a mock, we can do it in a way as we wish. But we are not we are not very much, sometimes we are not very, we may be prepared. We know that this is a thing we have to follow, but we may feel like, okay, give an excuse for that. When, I would ask if all our members here who are 1 year of experience, and when they would have been appearing in a mock test, they, even when I had appeared in a mock test in my CA finals, so many years back in 2006, I used to see that it's in as examination conditions as possible. That's what we see. So therefore, that's fine. I think I know that every one of our members knows that when they are appearing for a virtual interview, they would be prepared, and definitely they would follow all the guidelines. What has to be followed from the room and all that, because that's what our members have been doing for virtual interviews for over 2-3 years before, when the COVID had stuck. Many of such interviews have happened. So thank you so much. For formal vote of thanks, I would now invite the committee secretary, Mr. G. Ranganathan, who has been shouldered with many responsibilities. This overseas campus, India campus, is going on. So there are a lot of things, but he has been working with his team. So my deep gratitude to our Central Council members, our leadership of ICA, President, Vice President, before I hand over to Mr. Ranganathan. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Ranganathan ji, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, CA Prabhdev Singh ji, for anchoring this program on our behalf. And I'll be failing in my duty if I do not acknowledge that even on a Sunday, our esteemed panelists, they took out time and came forward to help our candidates. And I'm sure, sir, your wisdom and your guidance will go a long way in helping them standing in good stead. And my particular thanks are due to those 3 candidates who came forward to be part of the mock interview. And last but not the least, all our panelists, sir. It is the members of the institute, members like you, who make all our events successful, and ICA will ever remain grateful to you all. Thank you so very much, sir. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Ranganathan ji. So with this, we sign off. We wish you all the best for your processes and come out with flying colors. Thank you to all the speakers. Have a great Sunday ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you.